Okay, we're live. Three people have entered the waiting room, so let's let them in. Admit, admit, admit. Okay. Hi, I'm Ralph Preston, and every Tuesday we have these Stroke Buddies Recovery and Science Zoom meetings. We hope we're bringing you valuable information for your recovery and an opportunity to ask questions and hopefully learn something and engage with other people who actually understand what we're all going through. So here we are today with Dr. Luke Alley, and Luke's back for his third time. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what to do, what to do when you feel like you're not progressing, getting stuck, having plateaued and stuff. And that's something I think that we all experience because stroke recovery isn't like totally linear. It's not like a straight line. It's like the stock market, is what I always say. It goes up and down. So when the market's down, you look at your portfolio and you go, "Oh crap!" And it's kind of the same with stroke recovery when you have a bad day. Regression is a whole nother subject, but we can also hit on that too. Anything goes once we get to the discussion. So Luke's going to do a little presentation, then we'll have that discussion. So thank you, Luke, for putting this together and taking your time out of your busy schedule and talking to us. And I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just gonna get all shared. Okay,
Perfect.
sweet. So excited to be here for a third time with Stroke Buddies. Coming into this presentation, Ralph and I were really thinking about how to bring this topic to everybody. And I know we mentioned and Ralph mentioned that it's going to be a major emphasis on discussion. But we're really going to be asking you all to come forward, if you're able, via the chat, via coming off of mute, to really share your insights on what you've been working through with your recovery and just overall health. And so we're going to be definitely jumping into that. Just, I guess, as we move forward into it, those of you that have been in a Stroke Buddies call before are familiar with like how the facilitated discussion works, where coming off of mute, going back onto mute. But we're really going to create a safe and sharing space for us all to learn from each other. I think that a lot of you are all here because you see a tremendous amount of value in the community that's available through Stroke Buddies Facebook group, and we really want to replicate that support throughout this discussion as well. Um, Sweet. So just going into my background, so I've had an interesting path how I've gotten here to talking with you all today. As a doctor of physical therapy, I initially started working with varsity athletes, particularly in basketball, helping them get back to performing at the highest level. And I truly enjoyed that duration of my PT career and my fitness career. It was great to work with those individuals, but I definitely felt like the impact that I could have as a physical therapist wasn't truly all there. And that's where I found my way to inpatient neuro rehab. I've worked at a numerous number of settings, particularly the neuro population and stroke, helping people, as you know, get through their inpatient rehab stay, get back on their feet, get back to going home, and finding long-term success throughout the rest of their life. And I very much enjoyed that duration of time professionally. I felt like I was truly connecting with people and helping to help to work with them as they find more success. But I felt like there's another piece that I was missing as well around um, feeling confident and empowered to continue making progress after they leave the after people leave the hospital. And that's where I found my way to getting certified as a health and well-being coach, and then eventually launching the Public Wellness Project, my business now, where I work with people towards not only getting back to like the activities and level of independence, that they want to achieve, but then also really finding long-term success and building a foundation for their health that they can be proud of. And that really energizes them to take on the other aspects of their life. And honestly, like put energy towards getting back to their family, getting back to their career rather than staying stuck to the point of this conversation in that constant pursuit of like really finding results in their recovery. Like having a plan to do that, but then also putting energy back towards all the other aspects of their life that really bring them joy. And so that's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm really grateful that it's led to opportunities like this to come into contact with Ralph and the great Stroke Buddies community as well. So we're gonna start the discussion here pretty early on. I really want you to think about this question and the question that really brought us all together today about just feeling stuck and discouraged and just overall dissatisfied with your recovery. If you've ever felt this way, I would love if you could put a one in the chat. So if you can find the chat feature, just to make sure we all have access, just put a one and you can see mine there now. Perfect. Thank you, Monica. And if you want to, you can also share your detail as well, like what area, where have you felt stuck? Um, what area of your health, your recovery, like have you felt stuck improving your walking, getting back to maybe cooking on your own, whatever it is, getting back to work, wherever you felt stuck throughout your recovery thus far. Yeah, the walking, especially overcoming tone and spasticity. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. That's probably my biggest thing, tone and spasticity.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be very difficult to work through. Anybody else care to share? The aphasia as well. Definitely. Post-stroke apathy. Don, I'm curious what do you mean by that? Could you expand on that?
That's a big problem. Ooh, visual. That's a tough,
Yeah,
that's a tough problem.
yeah.
Sorry about that. I couldn't get I
Oh,
couldn't
go
get
ahead.
yeah. I just learned from a stroke woman who has a website that she does stroke on, and she mentioned having post-stroke apathy. It
Hmm.
was the difference between that and laziness. And I'm 11 and a half years post-stroke,
Hmm.
and I know I can do these exercises, but I can't make myself. And
See.
I've been being treated for depression, but then
Hmm.
I'm wondering, is it depression or is it post-stroke apathy? If because I'm just giving me pills and I'm like, I don't want that, so
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out between those.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward. It's super pertinent to our discussion today. I'll definitely be circling back to you as we go
Okay.
forward. Mm. Yeah, the overcoming the life with one hand, extremely frustrating. So moving forward, thinking about what are you currently focusing on? You guys have been listing these things, but let's break it down into activities. Like walking is the activity. For those of you that listed other aspects, like to your point, Don, about like feeling limited by your exercises, like what are those exercises helping you achieve? Is it just helping you maintain what you're working on, or is there something specific that you're currently working towards? And so feel free to come off mute and or drop those in the chat as well.
I, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's okay. Take a second.
Stroke, as they say, stroke brain. It's really strange the way I'm working that I found this chiropractor who's also a physical therapist,
Mhm.
and he's been helping me with move my arm. So, but like I said, I do the exercises with him,
Mm,
but I don't do them the rest of the week.
right,
And they go, and so it's yeah.
right. So what activity like what are you trying to see progress with in your life? Like what is working completing the exercises on your own in service of?
I'm trying to get it so I can move my hand and my arm.
Mm,
I can bend my arm, but I can't straighten it out to the left. That's one thing I want to work with,
right.
and my fingers, of course. But those will probably be the last thing they say. That's the last to get you back to you. But
Right.
yes, it's like
So
that. Yeah,
sounds like moving that arm so that you can use it for more activities throughout the day.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that can be more helpful for you in just going about life.
yeah,
My
yeah.
hand was my first thing I got. I was backwards.
Oh wow.
Really?
I did
And
too.
and
Me too.
I swear by EMS. Like
Hmm.
I think that's how I got mine so quick. I used it twice a day, every day.
I got
Mm.
mine back first too, and my shoulder was last. It went the other way. It's supposed to
Yeah,
go proximal to distal,
yeah,
and
I did
it
Absolutely.
too.
went distal to proximal. And back to Dawn for just a split second. There's one thing that might work is, but you need somebody. We might be able to find you somebody. Is an accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
We have a group that I thought would be just fantastic, and a few people connected, but it hasn't, like a lot of things that didn't catch on where we try to match up people. But if you have a friend or a offspring or a partner or anybody, they don't have to be a stroke person, just somebody that you will hold you accountable without beating you up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's my problem. I live alone, and my brother lives about a mile, 2 miles away, but he
Hmm.
doesn't want to help. Um,
Well,
so
the
and,
not
and
wanting to help is the bigger issue because you could find I could send you to the accountability group we have, and maybe you could find somebody, or maybe somebody here also needs an accountability partner, and you can do it remotely.
Hmm.
okay,
Zoom will let you do your own meeting for 40 minutes. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Anyway,
great to just have somebody else in your corner that, is also working on something on their own, so it can be like a dual partnership as well.
yeah,
I know it's kind of hard, but setting personal goals and actually writing those down, putting them on your mirror or somewhere there where you see it daily, and along with affirmations helps a whole lot. Um, but setting that goal and looking at it every day definitely has helped me. No, I know that every day I'm going to walk at a minimum. For me right now, I'm up to a mile.
Hmm.
Um, it's taken a while to get to that point, but it's having to steadily do it every day and having a goal that you're trying to reach. So it may only be 100 yards that you're trying to reach your first day, and just kind of try to increase as you go.
Yeah, that's a great example, Trent. Thank you. So thinking about those goals and what like you're working towards, like what do you feel like to your point, Don, you brought up a great example. Like what's missing in that is like I guess like motivation, like accountability in terms of doing those exercises to get better use of your arm. But for those of you that didn't share, like what do you feel like is the missing piece for you in getting back to walking the way you want, getting back to being able to engage in other with others in the way you want in terms of your aphasia? Like some examples are, is it the accountability partner that may be more helpful to help you stay more consistent with your exercises? Is it having more access to providers? Is it having more of an online program where you can like report back and keep track of your overall progress? What do you guys feel like is the missing piece? Like, what if it, I guess another frame for that is like, if you were able to get access to or learn this, like you might find more progress.
Yeah. I just wanted to comment on something here real quick. So,
Please.
um, for me, I work out 4 times, pretty hard and consistent 4 times a week.
Hmm.
I, I try to walk a half a mile a day, a little less now because of the weather,
Hmm.
but definitely staying consistent on my riding my stationary bike at the YMCA. So I try to ride about 24 to 26 miles a week, 4 times a week. That's my goal. But so I always run into this issue about like just trusting the process. Am I, I've been doing that for a while. I mean, a long time, over a year or so.
Right.
But I don't know what benefits besides keeping my, I guess, cardio health, my heart health good, and stuff like maintaining that. But as far as physical abilities, I'm not sure, what benefits. So I have a hard time like trusting the process and say, hey, what am I really benefiting from this,
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that's a great point. I've really had a tremendous increase in the amount of stroke survivors that I've had discussions with over the last year, year and a half. And one interesting thing to your point is I think some people have a plan of what they're doing on a daily basis. They have their exercise routine. Um, and it's really about how to make progress with that, and then also like where is that going? You know,
Yeah,
what are
exactly.
you working towards? Like, so my question to you would be like, why are you going to the gym so consistently? Like, what activity are you truly trying to work towards or bring back into your life?
I would say I'm hoping to keep on staying strong
Hmm.
mentally, physically, and being able to hopefully get off my AFO,
Mm.
take take control over my tone and spasticity, get some dorsiflexion one day, and
Right.
work on that. Because right now I'm slowly walking because I got a lot of inversion issues
Mm.
and dorsiflexion issues, so I'm trying to walk without my AFO. Otherwise, I'll be walking like this on my. So I'm trying to
Absolutely.
keep that flat, but I'm taking a lot of I'm trying to, I'm going outside my comfort zone and walking without my AFO
Mm.
a little bit with the cane, but there's time. I have to have my caregiver next to, just to watch me because so I don't fall.
Right.
Because if I fall without the AFO, I'm pretty fucked.
Right.
Sorry
Yeah.
for my
Of
language.
course. No, that's all right.
Okay. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so thank you so much for sharing that. That's a great example, right? Of like you're going to the gym so consistently and really working on all those different aspects, right? To get back to walking without the AFO. And so
yes,
um just like speaking candidly, like the recommendation really would be like a much more structured program around those impairments that have some progression beyond just like taking advantage of your consistency and how diligent you are in going to the gym, which is your biggest
yes,
strength, but then also having a more formal plan of what these exercises lead to, those exercises lead to this progress in your walking, so feeling like there's stepping stones along the way rather than just waiting until the moment of faith where now I can walk without my AFO, right? There can be, and we'll get to this very soon in the presentation, but there's a way to create stepping stones along the way rather than just waiting for graduation day and feeling like, oh, I can do it now. Um, does that help to answer your question?
sort of. I mean, but like
Yeah,
I said, that all kind of boils down to like trusting the process. Like, what am
definitely.
I doing this for? If this is not working, what does my progression look like,
Completely.
I got
Yeah.
a couple things I can add to this, and
Please, Ralph.
um, that it's really hard to get cardio. So if nothing else, you're getting cardio. I mean, recumbent bikes and or any type of bike, sometimes rowing machines or steppers or um, treadmills. New Step, I really like. So you're getting aerobics, and that's important. But any and all physical therapists will tell you that it's to keep moving. So you keep moving, and there are, while you may not be able to measure the benefits, there's some like hidden benefits. I had a neurologist after I gave a motivational speech one time. A neurologist came up to me and said, "More movement equals less depression." So you don't really know what you're staving off by sitting around and not going to the gym. So between that and the cardio, and everybody saying, keep moving,
Yeah.
don't get discouraged. And
Completely.
at some point, if you want, we can have a discussion about AFO strategies. I've helped a few people get off of them. Depends on the level of your inversion, but that's kind of different than what we're
Yeah.
talking about today. But you want to
Well, I'm at a point where I finally, Ralph, I finally got a referral to go to Paul Winston for the chiral analysis. So my doctor from Seattle, my spasticity Botox doctor, sent that referral last week, finally.
we don't have
So
far to go. You just got to drive up and take the ferry.
yep, that's exactly what it's right. It's only 5.5 miles away.
That's great.
So I'm thinking about doing that. Those kind of the things that I'm like not giving up on, so I could, progress to the get out of, maybe that'll help me with my inversion and get some dorsiflexion.
Mm,
Because I think mentally I'm, with my grit and my passion to get better, I'm not, I'm gonna look at every avenue to figure out how I could get better, you know.
Don't be
So and
too
not
hard
get
on yourself, and definitely don't beat up on yourself. Both those are counterproductive to what you're trying to
yeah,
do. I'm not saying you're doing them. I'm just saying in general
yeah,
that both being too hard on yourself, expecting, remember, it's like the stock market. And if
yeah,
you manage to do, if you're working on 7 push-ups and you manage to do 8, what's the goal for tomorrow? No, it's not 9. It took you a month to get to 8. So the goal is 8. And if you go back to 7, you say, okay, I did 8 yesterday, I did 7 today. I'll see if I can't do 8 tomorrow. Because
mm,
you have to set reasonable, obtainable goals in stroke recovery, in my experience, because they're motivating. I set small goals every single day, and when you make your goal, it motivates you to, like, this might work for you, Dawn. It motivates you in the sense that okay, I made my goal yesterday, but you have to be real careful to make them realistic and achievable, and that way, success builds on success.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. No, I try to do that, Ralph. Like if I'm riding the stationary bike 6 miles every time, 4 times a week, I try to make that my time is to do it under 20 minutes every time. And to
Right.
me, that's realistic. So I'm doing that. And if I could get it under 19 minutes or 20 minutes, then that's even a better goal that I actually achieved. I actually have done that. So I've shaved like 10 seconds off, which was harder than hell
Mm,
and keeping my heartbeat up, but I did it. So like trying to stay consistent is still a goal.
Just
Although that I'm not maybe not seeing the benefits like physically, but I know behind the scenes there's something that I'm benefiting from. I just don't know what that is
there you
mm.
go. That's
yet.
what I was saying
Yeah,
earlier. You can't measure some of the things like how depressed you might be if you weren't trying, but you got to get back. I want to get back to just be careful not to set too big of goals or beat up on yourself too much.
yeah,
It's counterproductive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is perfectly on topic in our discussion today because we're going to be diving into that. But one framework that I think that might be helpful for you, Ralph, and also the rest of everybody here is like there's this phrase called like your window of belief. So your window of belief is like where you truly feel like you should set a goal. Goals are very easily impacted by like what you feel like you should do and what like like somebody else has set for you, what you've learned and what you feel like should be what you should expect of yourself right now based on what Ralph is doing, what Joan is doing, what Don is doing. But your window of belief is really a way to figure out where's a reasonable goal for me. So one example of that is tomorrow, do you think you can walk 5 miles without your AFO? Probably no. Tomorrow, do you feel like you can walk one step without your AFO? Definitely. So like that's the beginning example is like as you go forward on either end of the spectrum, like, oh, do I feel like I can walk to the bathroom without my AFO? That's more of like a maybe. So now we're really getting more, you can feel your emotional reaction when you say those things to yourself and really think, oh man, like maybe that is a reasonable goal for me to do. It's right on that edge of like something that's feasible. And because it's so tied to your emotional response, like hearing yourself say those things or have that thought, it become much more applicable to you and where you're at versus like where you think you should be and what somebody else is expecting for you. So I felt that, I mean, with my personal um, work as well, but then as for people to take that home with them and set more reasonable goals, it can be super helpful.
When I had a young man in June who wasn't running yet, saying he was going to learn how to run, and run a marathon in December. When you try and give people advice, it's interesting because I wanted to tell him he was setting himself up for failure, but you have to do that in some way that somebody's going to accept it, because otherwise they're going to shoot the messenger if they don't like the message. But I suggested that he might like try running and then maybe try a 5K, maybe if he had maybe do a 10K, not to set totally unrealistic if you're not running to think you're going to run a marathon in 6 months. Even if you
Right.
didn't have a stroke, he obviously was not an athlete type. I think people who've ever trained for anything, anybody who's athletic, who's run or competed and stuff, they understand that things don't happen overnight. Um, Hussein Bolt has a famous quote. He says, I trained for 4 years to take a hundredth of a second off my time, and y'all give up in a couple of months. Think about it. Also, when Luke was talking about this window of positivity, professional athletes visualize. They use visual imagery or mental practice. You have to be able to, you have to believe. Now, did I have days where I didn't feel like exercising? Yeah. Some of those days I forced myself to anyway. Some of those days I didn't. It's not like, I mean, I don't want to sit here and everybody think I'm like, that I didn't go through depression, that I wasn't on antidepressants, that I didn't have days where it was tough, where I didn't have days that I gave up. But overall, you have to be careful not to string too much of that crap together because it'll seriously affect you. So
Definitely. Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Trent, go ahead, and then we're gonna move forward.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. I think Ralph kind of addressed it, so it's okay.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to say something real quick with Monica's comment. Deep in, deep
Sure.
down, I'm skeptical.
Mhm.
I get that feeling too, Monica, at times. So
Yeah,
I know
I
what
think
you're
that
saying for
that
sure.
underlying dialogue of do I really feel like I can get back to X, Y, and Z can be exhausting.
Yeah.
And to Ralph's point around the visualization, right? Like one interesting statistic is that like 90 to 95% of your brain activity is like in your subconscious. And so when you're visualizing, when you're manifesting affirmations, all that dialogue is all really feeding that subconscious narrative. The work that your brain's doing around your personal beliefs, your belief in self, what you truly value, like manifesting energy, that's all happening in your subconscious when you're going about your day. So then it can be very impactful if that negative self-talk is going on in the background saying, there's no way that I'm going to get back to X, Y, and Z. Why are you exercising? Um,
Absolutely. That was what I was going to say. I do believe truly that your body is going to follow what your brain wants. So if you, and I say it a lot, but if you're sitting there stuck in that spot of not believing that you're going to ever get back there and then wanting to be in a place that's probably not achievable, which is why I was saying I felt like Ralph had kind of addressed that. But those small goals have been very important to me to try to keep my focus on. But I mean, it's a natural thing to kind of go back and want to be your old self.
of course.
The universe reflects back at you what you put out to it. So that's why it's important to put out positivity and believe in yourself. And by the way, in a conversation I had with Dr. Hetzler, who's a neuroscientist and stroke survivor, he made me aware we were talking about visual imagery, mental practice. There have been triple blind studies with stroke survivors, not just in general. And it's a proven technique. It works. I mean, they took control groups and some did one thing, some did another, and the people that practiced mental imagery had better outcomes. So
Yeah. No, it's extremely well researched.
it's not like woo-woo voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
science.
Yeah, it's very, very well researched in neuroplasticity and stroke recovery, especially, but even in general population for every other aspects of your physical ability and just overall performance in work and your social life as well. It goes well beyond just physical.
If you don't believe you
Yeah.
can do
I
it, you're
just
going to
wanted to,
talk yourself right out of it. You can talk yourself right out of anything in a heartbeat. We've all done it.
yeah, real quick. You guys are touching on a lot of things that I'm reading right now. It's called The Power of Neuroplasticity.
Mm,
It touches on visual, but you touched on something really that's dear to my heart right now, currently with Luke, is self-talk. But that book talks about self-talk, the power of self-talking.
right. Yeah.
I really believe in it. I mean, it's got me rethinking everything. It's like now it's part of my routine, my therapy. Besides my physical, now it's my self-talking in my subconscious mind from that book. I encourage everybody to read it. The
Yeah, that's
Power of Neuroplasticity.
yeah,
It's
that's
an
a great
amazing book,
recommendation.
but it talks about how powerful the self-talking is for you.
Hmm.
Because so anyways, I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention that, but it touches on everything you're talking about, even you, Trent, what
Yeah,
you were
no,
just
that's a
saying
great
about
example. Um,
visual, being visual, about even your self-talk, visual is so important.
Completely. And
What?
so to our point around like the window of belief, I think where this comes up quite a bit is like three com goals that I feel like a lot of people may resonate with is like walking without an assistive device, getting back to driving, getting back to work. Um, and so to the question, like, do you feel like you can get back to driving tomorrow, get back to work tomorrow, walking without a cane? So for some people, that would be very terrifying to think about, man, how am I going to get from where I am now to doing that? Um, and so it's really important to Ralph's point about creating goals along the way. That's why it's so important because if your sights are only ever set on that longer picture goal, not trying to invalidate them, but thinking about steps along the way is equally as impactful and important to celebrate as well, to really get to that longer picture goal. The analogy I use a lot with people around this topic is like thinking about your energy, your motivation, your confidence, um, your belief in self as like a gas tank, right? So if I'm leaving the hospital after my stroke and I'm trying to get back to driving, if I only start with that motivation then and try to continue all the way forward towards achieving the goal of getting back to driving, it can be very tall task to think about only using that motivation from that moment forward to get there. Versus if you set smaller incremental goals along the way, you can think of those as putting more gas in your tank and helping you get all the way through the journey rather than just starting with that initial gas tank. And so that can be helpful to think about when you are celebrating the fact that you are making there is a step forward in the recovery, that you do celebrate that, just like as it's as crucial as the final outcome you're working towards, because that is a win and a success within itself as well. Can you guys drop a one if like I'm just out of curiosity, like getting back to walking without an assistive device, getting back to driving, or getting back to work is like something you guys are working towards currently, just out of curiosity. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Okay. Yeah. And so, like that belief in self, there might not be as much belief in getting back to that final goal because it sounds and feels so far away. So thinking about what's the incremental step in that direction that is moving you forward and also can be equally as achievable and easy to celebrate too. And so to the point of this discussion, like feeling stuck, discouraged, dissatisfied, and overwhelmed in your recovery, like that really, when people are just feeling that way, it's just an empty gas tank. It's like running on empty, unsure where your next gas station is, um, and really trying to figure out like is it even worth still to go into the destination? Like it's like losing track of that. It can be easy to end up in that scenario and a lot of different goals that you're working towards as well. Um, Sweet. I'm just catching up on the chat. It's so great to see so many people participating. Um, does anybody, actually, we're going to keep moving forward for the sake of time. Um, So what I really want to bridge here and just talk about is really the aspect of like why continue forward, right? Like obviously like continuing forward is about getting back to the life that you want to live and move forward in your recovery, but it also is about now after having something happen with your health, obviously you're much more motivated to prevent future complications, as we all are. And so one aspect that this integrates in is like thinking about the rate of stroke, recurrent stroke. And um, as this number continues to rise, it's like grown above 25%. I think it's interesting to think about how this conversation relates to that. As there's a lot of changes in your anatomy, in your physiology that lead to the likelihood of recurrent stroke, but then there's also the underlying aspect of being able to continue forward, like it can be very overwhelming to feel like you're going about this journey on your own. And so it's definitely something that I like to touch on here and discuss. The thing that I want to bridge towards in this discussion is thinking about your recovery as like beyond just like the physical. I think like as people move forward, like from us rehab providers. I think we don't do a great job of like thinking about the bigger picture outside of the physical, the cognitive, the daily tasks. I think that we could do a much better job of connecting with people on all the other aspects that are integrated into this, like the other aspects of improving your health, of addressing the underlying things that are also going on in your lives, like the social things with how this has impacted the relationships for people, addressing their blood pressure. All those different aspects are very integral to this recovery as well. Um, so to move forward, we're going to take a little bit of an intermission. And this is an opportunity for people to go to the bathroom, grab a drink of water. But what I want you all to do, and oh, I have something in the chat. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Manon. Definitely true that the aphasia definitely can impact a lot of the social engagement too. It can be so impactful in just how you engage. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Rich. So I think this will be a super crucial task for us all to go through together. It's a really cool exercise. I'm going to put this link in the chat as well. But you can also, if you're on your computer, you can scan this with your phone. but I want you all to take a moment to go through this daily health audit. What the purpose of this exercise that we're going to go through together, it's not necessarily to make us worried about all the different aspects of your health that you need to be working on and focusing on. It's not to add to the to-do list. What I want to do here is we're going to create clarity on what aspects of your health are going well. Because I think that that's something that's not often talked about is what are your strengths? Do you sleep really well? Do you eat really well? Do you have a lot of social connection in your life? You know, do you limit the use of harmful substances? And so I really want to go through this exercise to see how that presents from you all. There's also going to be the area of focus for continued progress too that's going to come through. So as you complete this, you're going to get an email summary. And so it's going to be called the Daily Health Audit Summary. And we'll take like 5 minutes or so to go through this, and then we'll have a continued discussion around it. Feel free to come off of mute if you have any questions or difficulty too. Or just add them to the chat if you guys are wanting to do so instead.
I did want to say concerning aphasia, I've spoke with and met with quite a few people now dealing with that, and it will make you feel very alone, but you're not alone. And there's actually quite a few people out there, depending on what area you're in too. There are aphasia groups with people that kind of deal with the same things. That way you don't feel like people are trying to put words in your mouth or not being patient with the time that it takes to get some things out. Well, Quebec, I don't know over there, but I do know that there are other people that you can search out that will be able to understand where you're coming from a little better. So do know you're never alone.
There are many Zoom sessions of aphasia. I go to 8 different sessions of aphasia, all by Zoom.
Well,
Yeah, thanks. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
well, referring to the chart here,
Mhm.
sleep, social connection, stress management. What do we got here? 6. Um, sleep, for me, is the most important thing. And one day it's terrible. Like the other night, I didn't sleep at all. But last night, knowing I want to get up in the morning and be here, I really purposely set myself up for sleep with low lights and not anything on TV, just sitting, relax, and listen to a little music. And I slept for 8 hours without waking up.
Yeah.
And here I am, very happy,
Yeah,
ready
that's
to
great.
off the wall. So
I'd be curious to see, were you able to go through this? Because there's the questions on sleep are very interesting and well, regarding like the duration of sleep, you know, but also like the nighttime routine too. It can be helpful to see the strengths because I think sometimes these routines that people have, you know, those strategies you just listed for yourself, Rich, that are things that you've really worked to create, you know, that those routines set you up for success. And there's a lot of those different things that are integral to a lot of other aspects of your health.
oh, absolutely. I'm a strong advocate for sleep now. And prior to my stroke and after my stroke, I dreaded going to sleep. It's like I didn't want to go to sleep. I didn't want to miss anything, and I was too afraid of what if I don't sleep, and I wouldn't go to sleep because I was afraid I wouldn't fall asleep. So in
Right.
the last couple of weeks has been coming together pretty good, and I have good physical activity and I eat well, and because I was a firefighter and I was an EMT, so and a musician, so I pretty much know all this stuff.
Yeah.
my social connections so because people disappeared. They just
Of
kind of
course.
faded away, and
That can be a
I mean,
very difficult one.
but the closest ones haven't. And I have my wife right over here making coffee,
Yeah.
here 24/7, 365. So, you can't beat that. And the stress management, stress is a subject that is all over the map. Stress is when you bend over to pick something up and then you feel like you're going to slip off the couch. That's stress. Worrying about how you're going to pay a bill or something, so the stress that's a whole nother talk for you.
Yeah. The stress management of it all can be a whole nother discipline,
Yeah.
I I think the way I speak to that point is like I'm such in favor of adding rather than taking away. And how that like applies to stress is like I think figuring out like going through an exercise like this or whatever it may be and figuring out like what is the gap that's causing this stress, and then adding something in that discipline rather than like stress reduction, like there's a whole scope of like how do you reduce stress, then you get into like all the like from exercise to meditation to downtime. There's so many different ways that are all very powerful. But I'd rather add like, oh, I'm stressed because I've been missing, to your point, like social connection. And I've realized now that I've lost a lot of touch with my brother since I've had the stroke, for example, and so that can be a form of stress reduction just through adding that.
I think what we need more therapists that we need more stroke survivors to become therapists and neurologists.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I saw something yesterday on this subject that was very interesting. It was from a neuroscientist, a medical professional, and it's a video. Let me see if I can drop it in the chat. So basically, a lot of stress comes from your frontal cortex and your amygdala, your fight or flight mechanism. And walking backwards forces your brain to give up on the frontal cortex and deal only with the cerebellum. And let's see if I can drop this video in the chat. And basically, if you walk backwards, it has a residual effect past walking backwards. He said a couple hours. Yep, I
I'm gonna
can.
try that.
I just dropped the video in the chat. Yeah, it surprised me, but it does make sense. So you're basically you're doing something that upsets the normal brain mechanism when you have anxiety.
In response to what Rich said, Rich, I mean, you're basically a walking advocate for anybody right now. Just so you know, I mean, it takes a lot of schooling and a lot of time. I think that we probably any of us has the ability to do it. But you also, I mean, what I've been trying to do myself is just reach out and find people in my community that need support and try to be there for them. And at the same time, they're giving me support back at the same time, being around somebody that is understands what I'm going through, and I can help them, they help me. I guess all I'm saying.
Yeah, amen.
But I totally agree. Therapists that have experienced it would be a great thing that to be able to have that connection.
Definitely.
Get the negative people out of your life too.
Oh yeah.
For those of you that weren't able to fill this out, feel free to like write in the chat too, or come off of mute, where you feel like the biggest area for growth is out of these categories of the daily health audit. Just finishing up these last couple of submissions for you all.
If anybody doesn't know how to get things out of the chat after, stick around after the presentation and I'll send it to you directly.
Oh, so the stuff's in the chat. Okay.
I put that video in the chat.
Right. Oh, okay.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
Well, Ralph, you can send it straight to me if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Later.
me too. Send it on instant. That's me too,
So
Ralph.
can you access the chat after the Zoom meeting is over?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Depends. If you turn on the AI tools, which you had an opportunity to do in the beginning, you can get it. I'll take care of anybody who wants anything out of the chat. I get it because I record it.
Well,
Should be able
will it be in the YouTube?
It's an Instagram. It's on Instagram, but I'll figure out how to get it to you right now, Rich.
You should be able to get a screenshot of it as well, I would think. I don't know if it prohibits you from doing that or not, but just hit your print screen button.
Yep. It doesn't give you the clickable link, but you can also
Yeah,
copy.
which is
it,
pretty
out.
difficult. If you don't have a clickable link, it's very difficult.
Well, won't get it. You'll have to retype it, and a lot of YouTube and Instagram stuff's got a lot of those upper lower number. They're a nightmare.
Yeah, get your magnifying glass out.
Okay, so Rich.
So you guys should be receiving your summaries in your emails. So if you want to pull that up, it will be a bit of a summary for you and just what your areas of strength and your areas of growth. When you're taking a look on that, feel free to like come off of mute or put in the chat like any surprises you found with, where maybe you weren't aware that this was an area of strength or this wasn't an area of growth. I'd be really curious to hear.
Rich, what does your
Self-awareness.
profile picture look like?
Say that again.
What does your profile picture look like? I've got 5 rich wrestlers.
Oh, you mean from Facebook?
Yeah, I'm trying to send it to you in Messenger.
Yeah. Okay. It says it's a fire department logo that says "I'm not drunk, I'm just stroked."
Okay, Luke. I got my summary. So let's see. Areas of strength. Follow the key habits. Motivation to improve. Um, I think the area of strength is spot on. Areas of growth, sleep consistency. Well, I don't have control over that because of my stroke. I just can't.
Mm,
But let's see. Evening wind down. I do that. I have a routine for that.
yeah.
So morning activation. So I feel like I have a routine for that too. Because when I come into my living room, I always have my windows open, my blinds open so I could see natural light.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think you're pretty darn spot on the
Yeah.
summary.
So you
Yep.
said the sleep um has been the biggest area for growth, but it's just very difficult to improve the sleep quality throughout the night for you.
Yeah, because I just, I sleep, I go to bed, I could fall asleep, no problem. But staying asleep is another story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'll wake up, like, I have a routine where I read a book for about 30 to 45 minutes, then I'll fall asleep. Then I'll wake up at like 3 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Then I'll figure out, okay, let's see, how am I gonna fall back to sleep? And
Mm,
usually I'm aware of like how tired I am. So I'll listen to a podcast, then fall back to sleep, then wake up again, like, whatever. Like, so I only run on 5 to 6 hours of sleep, and that's been working for me.
yeah. Yeah. So one huge area like that you can focus on for progress is like it's obviously very clear, where the area for improvement is, it's in staying asleep. So like
Yep.
exploring strategies and ways to really target that, it can become much more specific. Like, we just went to some extent from the idea of like, how do I be more rested to like, okay, I know that I have a really strong nighttime routine. I have a good morning routine. It's really about how can I help myself stay asleep and figuring out strategies to help me go back to sleep when I do wake up to that point. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else?
I missed what you were asking us to do right here, Luke. What I did do I did go through there, but which part did you want to read?
For your email summary, like just if there's been any surprises or anything you'd like to share about your areas for growth. If
My
there,
big thing was energy pacing. Listening to your limits while pushing gently will support steady improvement.
Hmm.
I don't know when to stop, and then I pay the price.
Wow. So how does that pan out for you, like on a daily basis, would you say?
I end up in it with a lot of back pain because I try to do too much.
Hmm.
And too much can just be going out and trying to get something to eat. Just being on my feet and walking wrong.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you have a pretty good sense already of like the fact
I
that
know, I just don't
hard,
know better.
right, that it's hard to slow down.
I had MS before I had my stroke, and it was the same thing. I didn't know when to stop. I didn't have deficits, but I had extreme fatigue. So the
Hmm.
day before I had my stroke, I was out in I call it the woods, but out in clearing brush and stuff in the
Yeah.
in the yard. And I did it for 6 hours. And
Oh my goodness.
I think that's what led to my stroke,
Wow.
because I had my stroke the next morning.
Yeah. So going to like keeping it related to how we've been talking about this today, I think as you're going about your day and thinking about what tasks you need to complete, it's really about you're using your self-knowledge of like, what am I capable of doing today? And like setting that expectation for yourself and setting like the goal of, 2 hours of yard work, even though, and then making yourself stop at 2 hours when you feel like you can go for six, for
Yeah,
example.
I can't go for 20 minutes now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So just to that duration.
I try to use the spoon theory.
How does that work for you?
You only have so many spoons in the day, and when you use them up,
Oh, I see.
you're done. So, like, it might take 2 spoons to do a shower, and then you're down two for the day.
Oh, in terms of your fatigue, like
Yeah,
I see.
or what my body will allow me to do.
When you're using that theory, how do you determine like that a shower is worth 2 spoons versus 10?
Well, sometimes you just have to have a shower.
Hmm.
And if I don't have to go anywhere, so I might skip it if I don't have enough energy for the day.
So I guess my question is, do you determine how many spoons it's worth before or after the activity?
Before.
But how do you,
Because if I had to do something else through the day and the shower was going to tire me out too much, I'd have to wait.
I see. I see. So you
Hey,
start with
Joanne, I
20
have a
spoons.
question.
It's
Yeah,
a,
When you feel fatigued, like what do you feel like? Like, do you have to like lay down and fall asleep or
No,
what do
I
you
don't sleep. I just have to sit. Well, I have to sit and get the pressure off my back for one thing.
gotcha?
And my tone will reduce if I'm not anxious.
Mm,
Like to walk to the bathroom, you were talking about your AFO. I can go if I don't have urgency without my AFO, but if I have urgency, my foot won't go anywhere. It just
Yeah.
it just refuses.
mm.
Yeah, I
So I
still use
find
a urinal.
anxiety plays a big part in my tone and
Yeah.
spasticity.
well, it does. And when you have that anxiety about whether you're going to make it or not without your AFO, you're using a part of your brain, and part of that brain would be lifting your toe up and doing the things that you need to do to walk properly.
Yeah. So just an example, last night I got out of the truck and I had to go to the bathroom and I was anxious and I ended up falling down and peeing myself. But my
Right.
husband was right there. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm okay, but I pissed my pants.
Yeah, I understand.
You get what I just dropped a little bit.
What about mentally?
Real
Mentally,
quick.
do you get mentally fatigued too, on top of all that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Went flat on my hand.
I don't sleep either like you. Like I wake up so much in the night to go to the bathroom. They've got me on
Yeah.
pills for that, but I don't want any more pills. I've resorted to gummies at night now. That helps me stay asleep.
Yeah, I've tried all the gummies, oils, sleep, everything, all the,
I take
none
the
of it's
one that's
worked.
supposed to make people high, and it does the opposite to me. It puts me to sleep.
Oh, really? I didn't try that. Probably the only thing I haven't tried.
Everything works backwards on me, like those Dilaudid and stuff that people will take and go to sleep. Like I'm just bug-eyed.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work for me.
No.
No
One thing I
sleeping
found
aids
for
work for me.
One thing I found for me, I do get fatigued every day. And this on the app, one of the things it did say was transition time. Adding short breaks or intentional pauses during the day could prevent stress buildup. For me, I know that was a huge part of my stroke. Was stress. I still get stressed, and I mentioned it a whole bunch. It doesn't take much to get stressed. I mean, you sit there and get in the cycle where you're thinking about something and you start rolling through it and rolling through it. Before you know it, you're raising your cortisol levels and your body's way out of whack. But I think what I was wanting to ask is if you're napping during the day because it's really hard. I personally get worn out, and I know exactly what you're saying, Joanne, about pushing and then paying the price for it, even that evening or possibly the next day. I do it a lot. I had to remind myself to rest, but I have found that when I actually take a nap, more often than not, I have a problem. I have a hard time sleeping all the way through the night. So if I not necessarily physically active, but I do keep my eyes open and find something to keep myself busy through the day and try to keep myself awake that I sleep better at night.
Well, so naps are sometimes necessary, but the goal, obviously, the long-term goal is to get back to sleeping mostly or entirely at night. And it doesn't have to necessarily do with stroke, it has to do with overall health. Anybody will tell you that what you also want to do is try and sleep, well, get 8 hours or whatever you need, and also do it in kind of the same time block. Consistency helps a lot. One more thing, I don't know if this will work for everybody, but I found Joanne, when I overloaded my brain, doing things, I would just sit down and just breathe, just chill out, try and clear my mind. And I can kind of reset my brain in a minute.
Yeah.
It will work for everybody. It's I suppose it's a type of mindfulness.
Yeah, the time blocking component is great. Like setting the schedule and expectation for the day and scheduling the nap for 10 to 20 minutes. To your question, Trent, I think um well, thinking about getting off of like napping altogether, all like going from needing it every single day to now never needing it's a tall task. And so tracking it more on a weekly basis and trying to cut down on the total napping time throughout a week and then marking that for incremental progress can be much more effective than just waiting until you feel ready to rip the Band-Aid off with cutting out naps altogether.
When I'm done.
Yeah. Um, all right. Is there anybody else still working on this? It doesn't look like I've gotten another submission in a little while. I think we're all the way through. And then so that is always available for free too. So you guys can use that tool or share it with others. I think it helps to create some clarity with your health. I think this discussion just now has been like an incredible example of like once you have that clarity on like where the hole is in that specific area for your health, it becomes a lot easier to determine like what's the action or the solution I need to find. Sometimes it's, oh, maybe I should be more consistent with X, or it's, man, maybe I do need to learn or engage with a specific provider that can help me determine how to best stay asleep at night, how to cope with stress at work, how to do X, Y, and Z. Once you have that clarity on like what the big gap is in the goal, and it becomes more clear to determine, what information, what support, what is the missing piece in the puzzle. And so
Yeah.
what I like to point out here is honestly like this is a huge step of progress. Like for example, if you feel like you've been feeling fatigued since your recovery and it's hard to know, we know that fatigue from your recovery comes from just the changes in your brain, that within itself changes the way your brain engages and creates fatigue. It also can just be from things just being harder and more emotionally taxing and physically taxing. Or it could be that you're not sleeping well at night, and so this tool can be super helpful to creating that clarity and then trying to determine what's the action you need to take from there. And going back to the celebrating of successes and wins along the way, like having this clarity is a win within itself. You can't start a race and move forward in any direction until you know what direction you're running in. And so I always encourage people when you do have this clarity, it shouldn't necessarily, and it often does, like comes with a sense of like anxiety and uncertainty of like, man, like I have a long way to go. But just having that clarity within itself is a step of progress in where you were a minute ago, because now you know what you're trying to do and what you need to fill in the gaps with, and it becomes super effective and motivating for people to continue forward towards specific areas of their health and their recovery. So I hope you all found that very helpful. Does anybody have any questions, comments on any of that at all? I really appreciate all the points so far. Is Ralph still here?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, okay. Anybody in the comments as well? I want to just open it up to those that aren't able to come off of mute.
Well, I didn't look at the email that you sent because I'm on an iPad and I'm afraid if I go to another window, I'm gonna disconnect myself.
Yeah, Rich, I don't know if I got a response from you, so I can, if you need to drop your email in the chat, do you have access to the chat?
Yeah.
So put it there and I'll send it directly to you after this and you can complete it and I'll send you your summary after the meeting. For
Oh,
those of
okay.
you that also weren't able to access it during the conversation, take a moment and you can write your email in the chat and then I'll send it to you afterwards. I'll just give you guys a
Ralph, you're
moment
on
to do
mute.
that.
I'm going to put all of Luke's contact information in the description under the video, Rich. So it'll be on the YouTube channel. Also, I give the presenters a list of everybody registered's email. So Luke will also have your email.
Right. I do want to mention, I don't know how relevant this is, but what I'm testing is I think Rob knows that I've been doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I actually got a chamber myself in my apartment.
God, really? You
Yeah.
gotta be kidding me. I've been
So I've
fighting
been
for
doing that I'm on my second block of therapy. So I'm on 77 days. This block at 77 days straight. And maybe that's why I still have the energy, but it's supposed to help you with sleeping, but it's not.
Hmm.
I'm actually like maybe turned into a short natural sleeper,
Hmm.
which gives me enough energy. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm just keep on doing it because it's still giving me the energy to exercise 4 days a week and commit and stay consistent with my exercises, which is 20 my goal is 26 miles a week still on the bike.
Well,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
don't want
that's
to take, I
incredible
don't want to
research.
take up too much time. But perhaps we can talk later or email. Did you say you had an oxygen, hyperbaric oxygen chamber in the house?
Yep. I have a soft chamber. Yep.
Because I contacted a place, they wanted almost like $400, $500 a session. Told me I would minimum of 20 sessions,
Yeah.
and my
No, can't do
neurologist
that.
doctors aren't, you know,
My
I'm hoping.
family helped me buy one.
So
So,
would
Couple
that
things.
would that run
uh,
approximately?
14,000
Yeah,
all in.
okay,
Yep.
it's up there, man. I'm just trying to get sessions because I think the more oxygen I pump into my brain, the more possibilities there are. Because I believe that there are brain cells surrounding the damaged area that are dormant.
Mm.
Yep.
Most insurances typically won't pay for that treatment either. So
Yeah,
$7,500 is about what it normally would cost to go through those treatments. You start looking at that investment, it's not, I mean, it's a lot.
it's a
Um,
lot.
but we are trying to raise money for a young man right now to get him covered on that. That's the only reason why I'm aware of it right now. But that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congrats.
I will I have to report back to you guys, but I have to go get my blood test and to see where my biomarkers are from the oxygen therapy, and I'll report back to you, Ralph.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great. Report back to
But
all
my
of us.
ride's here, so I'm gonna have to jump off, but I'll report back to you and keep you updated on my blood test for the biomarkers. Okay, guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for
All right.
thanks for
Talk to
sharing.
you later. Thank you very much, Dr. Luke and
Yeah, of
Ralph.
One
I really
course.
appreciate it. Bye bye.
one
Um,
thing I know about HBOT is the people that reported that it worked for them said it takes a number of sessions. I also know that insurance oftentimes won't pay for it and it's expensive. I think it has a lot of promise, but it's not really available to a lot of us. And I don't remember what he said his oxygen chamber cost. I thought he said $14,000.
mm,
Thought there was some for $4,000 or $5,000, but who on disability's got $5,000?
absolutely.
Nobody.
One
Yeah.
other thing is, don't believe I've ever seen anybody say much about HBOT working in terms of physical deficits. The things that they achieve are things like better short-term memory, less brain fog, less fatigue, sleeping better at night. They're all the cognitive side effects of stroke as opposed to I'm walking better.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, can't hurt to pump oxygen in your brain.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. So
Um,
I do want to wrap up here with you all. And so I do have just an offer. I do this with particular groups that I discuss this topic with, where I do offer like a free, like one-off coaching call. It's very similar to the people the calls that I do with the people I work with. And coming off of this discussion today, what we can do throughout that discussion is really create clarity on what your plan is going forward to address this particular area of your health that we touched on today. So whether it's sleep, social connection, fitting more physical activity, going back to how Don led off the discussion, really figuring out what action and what clarity you need to keep moving forward in that particular area for your health. And so I'm happy to open up a little bit more time for you all to take advantage. It's a short conversation, but I think people get a lot of value out of just having the one discussion to move forward. And so you guys can scan that there and schedule a call anytime on my calendar too. I'm happy to open that up.
One thing is unless you have an app, you can't scan a QR code with your phone while you're on your phone. But for those in the group today and everybody out there in YouTube land who watch this who watch this in the future, I'll put all Luke's contact information in the description underneath the edited video. And Luke, if you give me the link to that as opposed to the QR code, I'll
Yeah.
drop there with a notation that what it's for. and YouTube will make it clickable.
Yeah, I
find
just
I
added
have
it for the
people-
chat to the chat for people as well. So that brings you directly to the calendar and you can book anytime that's available.
Right, but we had like 26 people here today, which is pretty good. But
Yeah.
sometimes there are 100, 200, 500 people that watch it later, so they won't have access to the chat.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I put it there for you to copy and use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get it out of there then. Sorry, I misunderstood that.
No worries.
So
Any last questions at all? I'm curious, any thoughts on after completing the daily health audit or coming through this discussion? I'm wondering is there anybody out there that really has that aha moment of like, man, I really need to figure out how to do this, or this is really what's been holding me back. Like, I don't know if Dawn's still here, but I'm curious if she's gotten any clarity on what she brought at the beginning. I know Marilyn, you came off of video. I'm curious if there's anything you'd like to share. Feel free to hop in.
all right. Well, we'll go ahead and close this out. And Luke, I want to thank you
Yeah.
for
Thanks,
taking
Luke.
the time. And
Thank you.
I thought it was a pretty good discussion myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
thank
what
you,
we're shooting
everybody, for
for.
sharing
Good
your
discussion.
insights. It's always
Gotta get to
incredible.
the Zoom thing.
How did I get myself up there?
I like the fact that I can meet all these people, not have to smell them. Anyway, you all take care. I'm gonna head out to the day.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph.
Thank
Luke,
you,
thank
Luke.
Thank you for stepping out and going further past just the standard inpatient or even outpatient therapy and getting out past that. I think this is really good.
I appreciate that, Trent. I really feel like there's a lot more that we can do, and the partnership that like between provider and people overcoming their stroke and moving through their recovery can be so much more substantial than just like what we're able to do while people are in the hospital or when they come into the clinic, I
Yeah,
think
your hands are tied there. I mean, you only have so much time with somebody, and even though I kind of consider most of my therapist friends now, and I've been able to maintain a really good relationship with them. Not everybody has that, so it's really cool that you're kind of getting out there and providing this. I think it's really really important.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All right. Well, everybody have a good day. And once again, if you want to contact Luke, look in the description under the edited video. I'll